On April 5th of 1994, I turned 18 years old. And on that day, I still remember walking through the Toys R Us with my dad and picking up this game. And little did I know, at the time, that it was going to end up being my favorite game of all time. It's hard to believe that was over 20 years ago, but here we are. And ever since then, ever since games first started to come out in 3D on the Nintendo 64, I've wished for this. For over 20 years I've wished for this, and now, here it is. Now normally I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't jump on a day one release like this and start making videos about it, trying to get views and all that crap. But I feel like this is the one exception. Like, this game is just so special to me, it's always been my favorite game of all time. And so I feel like I can kind of make an exception here. I feel like with a game as epic as this, I really should try to stay on the sidelines a little bit and let the soundtrack speak for itself. There have definitely been a number of mixed reviews about the soundtrack, in which I will say that the soundtrack of the original was probably the #1 reason why I would still consider it to be my favorite game of all time. There's a lot of people are definitely coming out and saying they have issues with with the remake thus far on Twitter. It's a very mixed bag of reviews. But when I look back at my first impressions of the game as a kid, I had issues with it back then. I had issues with the original, which I'll probably get into a little more. But I'm going to actually go to the new game here, obviously. I already started one game, so you can see I'm like 3 hours into it. But, yeah, I'm going to save games this slot here. Audio language, English, I guess. I think I'll just go with the canon names here for the heroes, because they don't actually say the names when they're voice acting anyway, so it kind of doesn't matter.
Long ago, the world prospered and humanity thrived, thanks to a power known as mana.
Right off the bat, this definitely looks different.
However, humans soon sought to use mana to create the ultimate weapon, a floating battleship called the Mana Fortress. This greedy arrogance angered the gods, who in turn unleashed vicious beasts into the world.
I mean, how about this artwork, man?
A violent war between the mana beasts and the fortress engulfed the world in poison and fire until mana had all but disappeared. In humanity's bleakest hour, a hero wielding the mana sword appeared and destroyed the fortress. The world was left in shambles, and yet humanity persevered, and there was peace throughout the land.
One of the most iconic moments for me the first time I played was this moment right here.
As time passes, so history repeats.
When the Mode 7 kicks in and it says time flows like a river. But we've moved past Mode 7, haven't we? And the whole concept there of how it shows the sword sticking into a bunch of technology, and then it changes so that the sword is sticking into, like, nature.
Guys!
My first thought was like, oh, gee, the Mana Fortress is like right below us now or something. I know that's not really what it is, but it's just a weird thing.
Quiet, stupid. If the Elder finds us here, we're done for.
Yeah. We're not supposed to be here. Everyone in the village knows about the ghost.
You really believe that old fib? The grown-ups just say there's a ghost to scare us away. But I did hear Grandma say she saw something shiny by the falls when she was little.
Maybe it's treasure. Let's go find it.
Help! I'm gonna fall!
I mean, looking at it thus far, you know, this is exactly how I would have pictured it if it was in 3D. I wouldn't have changed a thing thus far. And obviously there's a lot more to come, and people will talk, but, you know, let them say what they want. I'm just going to say what I think, and hopefully...
Ouch.
So here's the thing, being such a huge fan of this game,
There's no way back up.
I know that I'm probably going to be a little biased. But hey. Okay, so number one, and this is something that I don't see mentioned in the reviews at all. You can dash in 360 directions, and it feels so freaking good. In the original game, you couldn't do that. You could dash in one direction, and the moment you turned, you had to wait for your meter to recharge again. In this game, you just keep dashing, sort of like you did in Chrono Trigger. Remember how nice that was in Chrono Trigger, when you could just run in any direction and you could keep running, even after you turned? Well, they fixed that. So, that's improvement number one right there. Among other things. But man, I just love this. I love running around. And okay, now number two. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, alright, I didn't mean to do that. He's really trying to call my name here. Number two is, remember how in the original game you couldn't, like if you, well, I guess we should get into that later, but...
But I'll never get through here without a weapon.
I know, that's why I'm trying to get through here. So, I mean, it's no secret that you also get two other party members in the game, and in the original, you couldn't get separated from your party members. If they were still on the screen, then you couldn't move. You'd just be stuck running towards the edge of the screen, just waiting for them to catch up with you. In this game, you can just run away from them and leave them behind. Get to the end of wherever you're going, zone out, and the other characters will just teleport there with you. That's another thing. That's improvement number two. I'm not keeping like a running tab here or anything, I'm just saying stuff as it comes to mind. Also, I heard a lot of people say this looks like a mobile game. I'm not sure where that's coming from, because it definitely... I don't know, it definitely looks better than it did when I played it at PAX Prime. But that was like 6 months ago. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there are some shots that are a little hilarious. Maybe that one in particular. Maybe a little unintentionally so. But there's a shot just like that in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, though, when he looks up at what's-her-face for the first time.
What's up with this sword?
My friends and I laughed at it for minutes.
Oh, I have to get back to the village.
Alright, so we have our sword. Okay, so here's another thing that I've seen a few complaints about, and this actually, I wasn't sure I liked it either, but you just have to get used to it.
Whoa!
So we're just gonna go to...
What's a rabbi doing in a place like this?
Okay, I haven't really talked about the voice acting, but maybe I will in a little bit. Okay, so in this game, you know how in the original now you can only swipe in 4 directions. And in this game you have 360 directions. So a lot of times you'll probably miss when you try to hit stuff, especially when it does the stabbing motion, because sometimes it stabs, and sometimes it like swings in an arc. And even in the original, I was never able to really determine like which one it did and why it did it. And it seems to be about the same here, but it's one of those things you kind of just get used to it. You know, you learn to aim the joystick in the direction of where the monster is, and then it becomes a lot easier. Now, what I was about to say about voice acting, I'm not a judge when it comes to voice acting, because I hear a lot of complaints about voice acting in a lot of different games. And it seems like there's... I don't know. I don't know if it's just the world that we live in today or something, but people just seem so much more cynical about it than they used to. And so, like, what do you have to do as a voice actor to be convincing, you know? You already have a disadvantage because the person can't see, like the viewer, you can't see the look on your face when you're saying the lines, so all you have is your voice. And I guess it's easy to go into it expecting it to be bad, and thus it actually being bad, more so. Because that's another thing that I've sort of noticed in recent years, is that if you go into something expecting it to be bad, it's probably going to be pretty bad. It's probably going to be worse than it would have been if you just sort of looked and said, okay, let's just see what happens here. Or even go in and expect it to be good. Sure, because, you know, you always run the risk of being disappointed, and people have been saying that on the internet ever since the beginning, like, oh, well, if you have no expectations, then you can't be disappointed. But, I mean, it's Secret Mana, you have to expect something. And I was expecting great things, and so far, there are things that have disappointed me, I'm not gonna lie, but we'll get into those when we do. But for now, I will say that I don't think it's as bad as what I've seen on Twitter. And I think that's part of what's really compelled me to record this today. Because I said before, I wouldn't normally do this on day one like this, but I feel like there's just things that need to be said. Of course, who am I to, you know, come on here and say, decide what needs to be said about a game like this, but I just think that, like, I just think you need to give it time, you know? You can't judge a game off of the first 5-10 hours of gameplay. I mean, you can, but I don't know if that's fair, you know? It's because I haven't even seen the rest of the game, but all I've seen, it's only gotten better as I've gone along. Because the first few hours of this game, actually, like the first 5 or 10, even in the original, kind of drags a little bit. So, you know, I'm ready to see what else is coming.
Elliot just told me what happened.
I thought you were a goner.
That's why I told you not to bring someone like him along.
You idiots! None of you were supposed to wander into that area. What's that you have there? Oh no, it couldn't be.
Cool! Did you find the treasure?
Way to go!
What have you done? That's the mana sword. There's no way you could have pulled it free.
Mana
Well, I
sword?
just did, dude.
But legend says the village will be destroyed if it's removed.
I never thought it'd come to this. The mana sword is said to protect the village from disaster. But now...
Aha! So you're the reason all those monsters are attacking us. You
Nope, wasn't me.
handed off the sword and doomed the whole village. It's your fault, you outsider.
Jeez. Yeah, so in little cutscenes like this, notice how the characters don't move in 360 degrees, they still move up, down, left, and right. And when I see this, I wonder, like, how much of the original game... I mean, it seems like for the most part, when you look at this, it looks like they just rebuilt it from scratch. And yet, there are times like that, when the characters only move in 4 directions, that I wonder how much of the original engine carried over into this. And if they did have to use the original engine, then how hard it must have been.
Calm down and study the enemy's movements to look for an opening.
Sorry if I, like, cut off the dialogue a little bit there. I can't really hear it. I'm trying to keep it quiet, so there's no echo on the mic here. This fight is definitely one that, at least when I played it PAX Prime, was a lot easier than it is in the original. But last night when I played it, it was actually a little bit harder, so I don't know. It's basically the same as before, though. If you die, you don't have to worry, because it'll just bring you back to life. Gemma will.
Takes more than that.
You can still knock you unconscious and all that gobbledygook.
Takes more than
And you
that.
can still acid breath you as well, because he's just mean. Yeah, so one of the big changes to the game is the music, obviously. But it does have the option, if you want.
Listen to my advice. Clear your mind. Wait for your power to return to 100%. Then be sure your aim is true.
Yeah, it's like, I guess people expect different things from voice acting. Like, some people expect it to be realistic or convincing. Others are fine with it being a little bit hammy. It's like, I don't know, you know, do you really have to be convincing to be entertaining? I don't know. Maybe you don't have to be convincing, maybe you just have to be funny. I don't know, not annoying to listen to, like me and my stupid voices and investigations too. Holy crap.
did well. Wait there. I'll pull you up.
So I was on the subject of music there for a minute. So I did say before, and the music was like my favorite part of the original game. Some songs are better than others. There are moments in some songs that
of the real mana sword.
sound a little weird, I will say that.
Why is that?
The legend says the sword can only be retrieved by a knight when the world is in peril. But you are far too young for such a responsibility. Something must be wrong with the mana sword.
Here, you take it.
No, I cannot. The sword has lost its power. It must be restored. Only the one who pulled it free can do that.
Then, what should I do?
Visit Sage Luka in the Water Palace. The sage has protected these lands for over 200 years. You would do well to listen to her advice.
Hey! The Elder wants you to come to his house.
Wow, you're a ventriloquist.
I have duties to attend. My name is Jimma, and I'll be waiting for you at the Water Palace.
Alright then. Well, I guess we better go talk to the Elder, even though we don't really have to. It's part of the story.
Elder, we can't ignore this.
We're at our wit's end. Who knows when another monster will appear?
Oh, it's you.
How's it going?
You've really done it this time. That sword has protected us for years. Once you removed it, the monsters started attacking the village.
It's settled. We can't let him stay in the village anymore. He'll just bring more monsters.
Shut up!
Whoa!
Get out of here!
Leave here now.
See little moments like that where they get 2 or 3 people to say something at the same time. I
I
don't know.
have no choice.
I didn't see it coming.
Banish you from this village. There's a treasure chest downstairs. Take the contents and be on your way.
Sure, but can I just say I love your little fireplace here? Like, I don't even remember what that fireplace looked like in the original game, but, you know, look-liked? Did I actually say that? Yeah, it's funny, I'm kind of surprised that every single actor, every single line in the game is voice acted.
Are you going somewhere? See you later.
See ya. I don't know who you are, but I guess we were friends.
I took you in as a child, but there's nothing more I can do for you. Forgive me. You wouldn't remember. You were just a baby. But I was there when your mother first came to this village. After she disappeared, I did my best to raise you. But today is the day we must part ways. I hope that you find your mother again someday. Good.
See you later. I know this ain't easy for you, man. You know, it's like they say monsters are attacking the village because I pulled the sword, but even if I leave, they're still going to attack the village, right? Wouldn't it be better if I stayed here so I could defend it? I don't know. Or is it just that they go after the sword? Because if that's the case, well...
I'm only
No.
selling you stuff.
Okay, so one little thing here.
When you're done,
The shopkeepers didn't dance when I played this at PAX Prime, and I pointed that out in my video, and I said I was disappointed about that. Well, they dance now, so... Thank goodness! That was like one of my favorite parts about the original game. Anyway, we should probably buy a bandana here, or, yeah, bandana.
Anything else?
Anything else?
To equip
No.
the armor.
I got it. Okay, so another thing that I've seen a lot of people complain about, and I wasn't sure about this myself, the ring menu. Now, whenever you get whenever you get your 2 other party members in, even when you go to their rings, the ring still appears in the center, right? And so, like, at first I was like, okay, wait a minute, how do I tell whose ring I'm on? Because at first I didn't know. Well, if you look at the border, up on the top, like the border that's around my armor right now, it's blue. It's light blue. Well, the way that you tell is when it's the sprites menu, that border is green. And when it's the girls menu, it's pink. It's as simple as that. I didn't notice that for the first, like, 3 hours that I played. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. So, well, speaking of which, I guess I should equip this. So yeah, there's a lot of little stats over here on the left. I'm not sure Those were probably there in the original too, and they just didn't show them on the screen or something. But either way, so you have defense, evade, and magic defense now, whereas before all you had was just defense.
Do you have everything you need?
If there's one thing I've definitely noticed in this game, or maybe it just seems that way because the game is more extravagant about how it points it out, but you dodge a lot in this game. And you basically just dodge automatically, but it happens all the time, but then it always happens in the... I see it just happened there. But in the original, you actually dodged a lot too. You probably just didn't notice it as much because it happened so often. Your character would kind of just bounce, bounce around like a bot bag. Okay, so, alright, canon travel. This is another thing that at PAX Prime I said I was disappointed about, and apparently they haven't changed it. So, canon travel used to give you a little glimpse of the overworld, and now it doesn't. But there is an overworld, because I have seen a screenshot of it. I kind of wish I hadn't, but how else were they going to do it? Like, once you get Flammy, there has to be an overworld, or else what would be the point of Flammy at all? So I don't know how big the overworld is, or if it connects to what you see here, as in, like, how some games you can just land directly somewhere and there's, like, no transition. So I don't know if there is one. It'd be pretty cool if there wasn't, though, but, get my hopes up here. But, oh god, this forest here, just seeing this in 3D, it's so beautiful. These flowers definitely look different than they did before. But hey, I mean, I got no problem with it. They look cool. They actually, in a way, in the original, they had a tendency to kind of blend into the background, and now they don't so much. Which is weird, considering how much smaller they are. I don't know. Mushrooms look funny. Like, every monster has its own animation now. This mushroom's... See, that looked pretty cool. So, you kind of just gotta get a feel for it. That's all it really is. Goblins, come and get me! I guess they're not going to. Oh. Okay, I will say one thing I kind of don't like, but I'm getting used to, though, is a lot of monsters in the original, when you hit them for the last time, they just disappeared right away. But I've noticed in this one, when a monster dies, or runs out of HP, he just falls back to the ground again, and you have to wait for him to disappear before you realize he's dead. See, in the original, one of the things I liked was just being able to hit a monster, see that he was dead right away, and just keep moving. But now, you have to, like, hit the monster, wait for them to fall down, and then see if they're dead. Unless you know how much HP they have. So you know what the last hit is, then maybe?
Pandora has sent us to fight Elene, the witch who lives in the haunted forest.
Yeah, that's right. That's dialogue, by the way.
That's our leader. That's our leader. Major Dialogue. He's young, but no one doubts his skill.
Yeah, remember in the original how Dialogue's hair was like twice as wide as his head was? Well, that's not the case anymore.
All set.
Understood. Stay focused, men. Let's move out.
Hey, that's weird. Last night when I played, it was the third guy who said that, and then they moved out. Did they? Oh, that's weird. Anyway, I'm running. I'm running. Sorry about this first part, there's going to be a lot of cutscenes. I don't know how long I'm going to make this. Sorry also if I'm talking over some of the voice dialogue. I kind of just... I feel like probably 85% of the people watching this have probably either played the original or seen the original or are fans of the original in some capacity, and so there's really no need for me to stand aside too much. Which is weird, because I know, like, one of the first things I said was, oh, I want to stand to the side a little bit and let the music shine and all that.
Uh-oh. Where's Luka? I guess I'll ask that girl over there. Hey, where do I find Luka?
Right here, baby.
Mind your manners. It's nice to see you again, Sage Luka.
You're very welcome.
Wait, you mean this little girl is 200 years old?
I don't know if the inclusion of the word little was necessary there, but okay.
Oh, so you're the one who found the mana sword.
Yeah, that's right.
Luka, monsters have started invading villages. This young boy just fought one himself.
Yeah, you should have seen it, man. That was awesome.
Underestimate my intelligence. Mana grows ever weaker. That could explain how this child was able to take the sword from its place of rest. His actions caused the balance of mana in this area to shift. Beasts are now rampaging across the land again. Evil in the world is working.
Well, we're just gonna have to kick their asses then, aren't we?
By defeating monsters.
Also, I got really nice HP right now.
It looks like your sword regained some power from vanquishing the mantis ant.
I don't know if it's my imagination, but it does seem like I do slightly more damage than I used to in the original. Not at first, starting out, it's all the same, but...
I was once one of Sage Luka's pupils. I studied how mana sustains our entire world, and how it's been slowly fading away.
I think part of the reason for that might be because I've been taking my time, so I'm gaining a little more experience than I usually do.
I want you to keep an eye on the Empire. It seeks the Mana Fortress's power.
Fortress? Like the one that destroys the world in that fairy tale?
This is no fairy tale. We're talking about the real...
Get with the program, son. This is real life. Welcome to the real world, jackass. Sorry.
Each palace. I've already caught some Empire spies snooping around my own palace.
There are strange reports coming in from Pandora. Could the Empire be involved?
I do not know. Gemma, you should request an audience with the king and tell him to be wary of the Empire.
Understood. I'll leave now.
Yeah, I kind of like how they kind of fleshed out a couple of the small details there.
There's a dwarf blacksmith that lives in the area.
Like in the original, he just says he goes to Pandora. He doesn't say he's going to talk to the king about, you know, to warn him about the Empire or any of that.
You should see if they can reforge the sword. As the sword becomes more powerful, your skills will improve.
And I'll learn more abilities, yeah, I'll do that. It's getting a little long here. Yeah, well, that's it for him. So, how's it going, baby?
What frightens you so?
The fortress?
Eons ago, the ancients used their war machine, the Mana Fortress, in a final battle against the gods. It's not a fairy tale like you were told as a child. As the battle raged and the world reached its end, a hero came with the sword and saved us all. The few who remained rebuilt the world, hoping to protect mana from those who would abuse it.
Well, what does that got to do with me?
You wield the legendary Mana Sword, but its power has faded. Now it's hardly better than a normal weapon.
It's good enough for me.
Use the last of its power to choose a new master.
Oh, what power?
If the Empire
I never know what to say here.
They'll drain the world of mana power.
It's basically two means to the same end.
Power before then, or the world will be destroyed.
So?
So where do I fit in?
You must become a hero who is worthy of the sword.
Okay.
Come, hold the sword up to the seed on the altar.
She said seed. Alright, anyway. Here I go. I remember as a kid I'd always kind of pictured the sword and the seed as sort of shape-shifting into a slime and mixing together. And then coming back apart again.
What happened?
The seed and the sword have now synchronized with each other.
I guess because in the original game it says like they became one or something, so I don't know. It's funny how much your imagination... I'm sorry, I keep talking.
Now you must visit the others and obtain the powers of their seeds. I worry about you out in the world with only a rusted sword. Take this spear I imbued with holy water.
Wow. Did you know I was coming, so you just sat in a room somewhere with the spear and just
along with the mana sword,
rubbed the water into it or something?
I'll heal you. Would you like to save the game?
Sure, why not? It's the first chance to, might as well.
First, take Gemma's advice.
Yeah, I'll know. I heard him. That's fine. So we got this secret little room down here. I didn't visit this last night. I didn't look in here. Because as far as I know, there's nothing actually in here. There's just switches. And a door. It just seems so deliberate. Like, maybe this is where she hides out when she needs to be safe or something. Oh well. Yeah, but I think, like, it's surprising how much your imagination really fills in the blanks when you play a game like this, like when I was younger, you know? Because there's nothing like a remake to really open your eyes to that fact. Because when you see the remake, it's like everything looks so cool and different and fleshed out and detailed. But then it's like, you still feel like you've already seen it because in some manner of speaking you have. Because your imagination made it. So it's like I already knew it looked like this. I didn't need a 3D game to tell me that it did. And yet still... But, you know, back then I didn't trust my imagination. I didn't believe in my imagination, and... I don't know what I'm even saying here, but... It's like now we have a way to actually see. Okay, I'm just messing around here. Oh, I am closing in on a half hour here. Probably past it already, but... Anyway, well... Should we at least do the goblin scene before we head out here? I suppose we should. Yeah, the song for the goblin dance is one of the ones that definitely got changed around quite a bit, and it seems like a lot of people really don't care for it. I didn't mind it so much. I didn't think it was that bad, but I don't know. I guess people just weren't expecting the style that they went with, you know, because it's more of a kind of a more modernish style. It's like electronic, more, I don't know. I'm not an expert when it comes to modern genres of music. There's electro, dance, pop, techno, dubstep, whatever. That's probably the best description I could come up with for it, really.
Ow! You, do not move. Stay still. Very lucky human. You will be main dish tonight.
Hornless! Hornless!
No!
Sorry.
Let me go!
Delicious human. Very
Kimari weakling, Ronso! I mean, you already made the joke, Tim. Do you have to do it twice? It's just so much fun to do that voice.
Dancing has begun. I join in.
Alright, you just do that. Well, she's sneaking in.
Hey, you there. What are you doing here, you idiot? Quiet.
This is another example of where I feel like the original engine is still in there somewhere.
Let's get out of here.
Because of, like, that animation of her pulling him out of the pot. It's like, a game that looks this good, you would have expected a more detailed animation for that, but yet there's not, because there wasn't in the original, I guess, so...
I'm looking for someone. I saw you being taken away and thought for a second you might be him. I got the wrong guy, though. What a waste of time.
Hey, wait a minute!
Just kidding. Look, I'm in a hurry. Go back to your village, kid.
Okay, I'm gonna say it right now, I love Prim's voice actor.
I didn't even get to ask her name.
You don't get to hear much of it there, but man, I'll tell you what, she's funny as hell. They kind of lay it on a little thick later on with her, like, how much she loves dialogue and everything. But I think it's just one scene that does that, really. Otherwise, it's not too noticeable. See, now I'm getting to where I can actually, like, when I stab, I hit him every single time. I was missing a lot before. Like, right there, I just missed, but... It's one of those things, you just have to get used to it. That's all you can do. Anyway. Well, I did say I was gonna turn off the LP, and yet here we are, you know? I mean, I suppose I can just record 2 parts at once here, I don't know.
Hey there, special offer just for you. Only 50 GP to any of these destinations.
You know, I'm gonna pass. Well, I mean, I guess I should show it, just to show that there's nothing there, I don't know. God, wow, I can just go straight there, really? That would actually help a lot. I'm not gonna do that, though, because I want to pick up the girl in Pandora. Well, I'll tell you what, I think we'll just go ahead and stop the first video there. And next time on Secret of Mana, if I decide to continue this, which I guess I will, I've done started, now I can't stop, right? So next time we'll talk a little more about the music and about the remake and just remakes in general, you know? See you guys later.